Boom, shaka-laka boom. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, drum roll, please, Clay Edwards, coming at you live on 103.9 FM at WYAB. Alexa, play Clay Edwards Show. See if I can't mess with some people's Alexas this morning here on the radio, the radio. Chip, I think you're on the wrong microphone.
I'm on the wrong microphone.
Yep, you're on the wrong microphone. We have Charles E. Matthews Jr. III here in the studio with us this morning, sitting in on a Monday. He was here from 6A to 7A. First thing I heard when I cranked my truck up this morning was, "Good morning." I was like, next. Next. What are they doing over at Super Talk? I ain't ready for all that.
I was worried. I even played Nobody's Fool this morning.
Yeah.
And I had that volume too loud.
Yeah, be careful playing that copyrighted music on your live stream.
Yeah.
You'll get pinged for it, and they'll kick you off the interwebs.
Hit it, pulled it off.
Yep. They will ding you for that. That's why I don't play music on the show anymore. I broke my own rule the other day when I had the Zach Service kid in here. He made a little music video, and I played some of it, and
boom,
got several copyright strikes all across the interwebs. I'm like, that was that reminder not to do that. All right, see, we're streaming in stunning HD. You can see our lovely faces this morning, the bags under our eyes, at SaveJXN on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. Again, at SaveJXN. Both cameras are working this morning, so when Sean and Lindsay get here at noon, I don't want to hear anything about the cameras not working.
So tell me, how did the Salvation Army thing go?
All right, so that was great. I was really honored to be a part of it. My brother from another mother, my radio mentor, Mr. Kim Wade, was also there. Hung out with Miss Barbie Bassett. Got to see her for the first time in a while. Got to talk to her. You know, we were big supporters of Barbie when nobody else was. I just want to remind everybody of that. When everybody else tucked their tails and ran the other way, Clay Edwards was hollering, "What about Barbie Bassett?" And it was great to see Barbie again. And hopefully if Clay Edwards is ever in a pickle, she'll start the What About Clay Edwards movement.
There you go.
So with that said, no, it was great seeing Barbie, great seeing my friend Kara Shirley there from WLBT. Kara's been a big supporter of ours, and we love what she does with her live stream there midday at WLBT. I call noon midday, but I think it's at noon or 1. I think it's at 1. So anyway, Kara's show there. It was just great seeing everybody. Miss Patience Wolf, a.k.a. Trailer Park Pretty, really big TikTok social media star here in the state of Mississippi, came up from the coast, and her husband were there, and several others were there. Anyway, if I go to name everybody, I'll forget somebody. But sat down, had a bowl of soup with Bruce Bartley. He was the host of the event. I always liked seeing Bruce and Sheriff Tyree Jones. But I say all that to say this. You know, I was told that there were some people that were not happy with my involvement in this thing, that actually fought against me being a part of it. And just imagine for a second, if you will. The same
room full of Democrats.
I don't want to say a room full of Democrats. So everybody there was really nice. So whoever it was that didn't want me to be a part of it didn't speak to me. So I'm not sure who it was, but I just imagine, if you will, being so ate up with Democrat death culture that you don't want somebody who speaks the truth and just wants these folks to quit killing one another to be a part of your charitable event.
I mean, the reality is they don't. A lot of these people don't want us to help them fix their problem. They think that we are wrong. We're the agitators on the radio. We're agitating. We're doing this. But the reality is we're trying to shed light on it. It's like when in the Canton thing, when I went to the debate, they said, "We don't want you to start any trouble with what has happened in Canton." So the first thing I did, of course, was say, "Excuse me, we've had 6 aldermen go to jail already, 2 waiting to be on trial, a person running for mayor who is already in trouble for cheating the students and has been suspended from having a license for 10 years. And I go, "What are we doing? Do you have to have a criminal record to run for mayor in Canton?"
It helps the resume for sure.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure it's helping Shockways. His pending felonies, giving him some street cred.
And what was he saying yesterday? He was saying something online about some $31 million for a floodshed program or whatever, and I was just like,
I saw where he's declaring a state of emergency or something. Like, for what? Jackson didn't flood.
No, but he wants to get money.
Well, yeah.
And then he wants to say that the Trump administration wouldn't give him any money.
Yeah, well, Jackson didn't flood.
But I do know that of all the states, Mississippi had 85 tornadoes, and the second closest state was 30. That's not good.
Well, no, I mean, nothing we can do about that.
But they weren't in Jackson.
Yeah, nothing we can do about it. You ever notice that tornadoes, knock on wood,
yes,
tend to avoid metropolitan areas? Not all the time, but they tend to avoid high population areas, thankfully.
And then I heard a guy on TV yesterday, and he made so much sense. He goes, when a tornado happens, the first thing you do as a person is you wake up and you come out and see the destruction, and you start cleaning up your local area. He said that's the way the politics of America has turned to. We after the Biden situation and Chokeway situation is we have had a storm, and the only way you're going to fix it is to start locally with the first piece of block on the first block. You got to fix it, and you got to vote to fix that problem. So that made sense.
Yeah, well, look, I talked to Fred Shank's dad a couple years ago, and one of the questions I asked him, being basically a former mayor in Jackson, former commissioner before they destroyed the city with the wards getting representation. I mean, you can't deny that when you gave the wards equal representation is when the city went to hell in a handbasket. Right. You can blame it on this mayor or that mayor or this or that. Some people don't make good decisions. I'm just gonna be honest. Some people don't make good decisions, and I just don't know that every ward needed fair representation, because what they did is they elected a bunch of idiots.
Well, that's the problem is if you don't, and then too many people don't want to get involved with the politics.
Yep.
They throw their hands up and say that ward's gone, that area's gone, Jackson's gone. Everybody left town. It's not worth saving. Same in Canton. Everybody goes, oh, we gave up. We had 3 generations in Canton that didn't get involved in politics, and you basically have the same problem in Jackson. And if you look at Madison County, we don't put new politicians in place because new politicians don't qualify to get on the ballot. They just don't try.
All right, I'm gonna circle back to that, because a lot of guys had a conversation similar about that the other day. But I will say about what I said to Doug, though, or what Doug said to me. I asked Doug, I said, what would, being a former Jackson mayor, blah, 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 or commissioner, how would you save Jackson? And his thought process at the time, this is about 4 years ago, it was 5 years ago maybe, it was the first interview I ever did with anybody. Yes. I took my cell phone and a microphone to his house in Brandon, set up on the table. The audio's terrible. The lighting's even, the sun was coming in behind us. The lighting's even more terrible. But it is all on the internet. You can't hear it. Me, him, and Fred sat there and talked for about 3 hours. And I asked him, how would you save Jackson? And he said, man, you got to pick a street and just start.
Correct.
He said, brick by brick, house by house, street by street. And while I agree that's the right way to do it, I think Jackson's too far gone for the street by street, brick by brick method. I think it's going to take a massive generational size project, something like a casino in downtown Jackson, or the complete bulldozing of South Jackson. Where did I say with the casino? Did I say South Jackson?
Yeah,
I meant downtown. The casino downtown.
Right.
Or a generational type Amazon type project in South Jackson where you just bulldoze the whole damn thing.
Well, see, you could do that. There's a federal program
and not literally the whole thing, but huge swaths of the whole thing.
There's a federal program where you can wipe out a whole neighborhood.
You need to take,
and then grow back into it over 20 years.
Jackson Square, out the woods, everything south of there, going down Terry Road, to all the way to the frontage road, and all the way to at least Belvedere Drive, and all down through there. People's Elementary. All those neighborhoods, Rebel Woods apartments. I mean, how they're still standing, I have no clue. I bet you they have the highest body count of any apartment complex in the city. Bulldoze all of it and build some massive industrial park type stuff, and then bulldoze the neighborhoods behind that and build some quote unquote affordable housing, if you will. Never any apartments again. Never any apartments. Never any multifamily homes. Got to be individual homes. Got to get out of this multifamily housing nonsense.
Got to start working on generational wealth.
Yep, and give people an opportunity to buy, but not give people who aren't working free homes.
Now, to do that, you got to fix the schools in Jackson.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like in Canton, where the industrial complex is. They just call it Madison County so that they can use the Madison County A. They can't use the Canton F.
Well, one thing you could do is if you do an Amazon, and I'm just picking Amazon because they've got they got FU money.
They got $10 billion in community already.
Yeah. So what if you said you guys got to build a couple schools for your employees? Basically, like it becomes Amazonville,
right?
You know, like how Disney is.
Yeah.
It becomes Amazonville, Amazonson. Anyway,
yeah.
They got to build a school system, and it's the only people who can go to that school system. They're like charter schools, basically.
Right.
The only people who can go to those schools are your employees' kids.
Okay, so that would be like in Hershey, Pennsylvania, with the Hershey chocolate.
So it eliminates people living over there.
Right.
Then they got no business living over there.
Right.
Because they can't send their kids to those schools.
Right.
And it, I don't know. I'm just playing this out in my head here.
Hey, a plan is better than an attempt at a plan is better than no plan.
But I just say all that to say that is the only thing that's going to, quote unquote, save, salvage, repair some of these areas that are just ate up with Democrat death culture.
Correct.
And
it's widespread, and it's starting to spill out the sides. You know, in that Carthage video that is circulating on
my social medias.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to know what the green T-shirts are.
Probably a family reunion, I'm sure.
Well, it's either that or they're, you don't know if that's people from Jackson visiting Carthage.
I don't know.
And
I got a thought. On. I'm not taking any calls right now.
Okay.
Nathan, call back later. I got a thought on what you said about the politicians, people not getting into politics. I'm conflicted. Okay, the people we send to D.C., I think those need to be good paying jobs because you want to recruit good people. But the flip side of that argument is, I think that the rich and smart people who would be good at those jobs, it should almost be like 4 years of selective service. I think once you've clocked in $100 million or so in earned income, you've now qualified to be senator. Whether you want to do it or not.
Right.
We have selected you. I don't know. That's probably a bad idea there too. But my point is we got to quit sending idiots.
Right.
We got to quit sending broke people who are going to get rich.
Right.
How about we send people who are already rich and it's a non-paying job? Anyway, bringing that to the local level. I suggested that these local board of aldermen and these city council jobs be non-paying. And I think
used to be not very weak paying. Let's put it that way.
Yes, such minimal pay that there's no way it could be your full time job.
Right.
$25 a week. So I don't know, man. Something it needs to be a calling. Is my point.
Right.
And it needs to be people who are truly driven for the calls.
Yes.
Not people who are going to get a damn paycheck. And I think that would eliminate a bunch of these grifters down there.
So what you're looking for are people that are like Elon Musk.
Yes.
I don't have to do this, but I am here to do this.
Hashtag thank you, Elon.
And then again, the president. Both of them are in office and refuse their checks.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Now, the mayor of a town, that's a full-time job.
Yes.
That's a full-time job. That needs to be paid. But the board of aldermen, the city council, those are not full-time jobs.
No.
Those are not full-time jobs. You meet once a weekish. I understand. Again, that needs to be a call. This is a calling. Like somebody sent me a message this morning. Because look, it ain't no secret. I make money on social media.
Right.
But guys, they could demonetize me today. I would still be doing this. I've done this for 20 years since MySpace.
Right.
Since Nate West of all people sent me an invitation to MySpace 20 years ago, almost 2006, 2007, somewhere in there. I have been yapping just like I'm doing today on social media.
Correct.
I didn't just wake up one day and decide, you know what, I'm going to talk about politics. It was either sports, politics, both of them. It's the same thing I'm doing today. I've been doing. Facebook just decided and these other planes decided to monetize people who had a big enough following to drive you to create more content on their platforms instead of going over to TikTok and these other places. If it all went away today, for example, I was making really good money on TikTok.
Yeah.
I am not anymore. Since ironically, since I came out supporting TikTok against Joe Biden's tyrannical administration, I have 91,000 followers on TikTok, and my videos barely get 1,000 views anymore. I haven't changed what I do.
Right.
I mean, I don't think people just woke up in mass and said we don't like Clay Edwards anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that can't happen, but I don't think that's what happened.
No.
They shadow banned a lot of conservative creators. And they also, I don't do their TikTok shop crap. And that's what I was saying. They ruined TikTok earlier off air. Mm-hmm. You know, now it's like if you're not also peddling products in TikTok shop in your videos, they de-rank you. I'm not there to peddle your crap.
No.
I'm peddling my stuff. Right. By the way, buyfafo.com right now, the shirt I'm wearing, is available for $10 off with the promo code #FreeTheLand, not hashtag, just FreeTheLand, all caps, no spaces, $10 off.
And speaking of your shirt, there was a place where the shirt was thrown out? Was it? Did I see that online?
That may have been a little bit of fake news.
Okay.
I mean, Bo was probably ribbing people a little bit, but I've had, you know, I can't post anything anymore without getting without officials actually reaching out to me about it.
Right.
City of Pearl reached out, said that is not what happened. Not my hill to die on. Okay. I was being sarcastic when I shared it.
Yeah.
Wasn't. I trust. Okay. I trust the man from the City of Pearl that reached out to me.
Right.
We got to take a break. When we come back, Chip, I want to get into. Speaking of fight videos, that was the thing we were talking about with Carthage is a video I shared. It's on all of my social media platforms of a bunch of #ForTheCulture people brawling at a gas station. There were like 5 or 6 of them beating up one guy. All of them got their underwear showing, and we're not talking about the girls, unfortunately. Something like, is that a prison culture thing or something? Like us, the minorities showing us their underwear?
Yes, it is.
That's the only thing I can think of. Is that to let them know you're game for a little exit on? Yeah.
I don't know.
It ain't for exit only. I mean, what's going on there?
I have no idea.
I don't know. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Jacksonians' obsession with wanting bad things to happen in other cities because of their inferiority complex. I've got a perfect case study from a fake video that got shared over the weekend claiming to be a fight at a baseball field in Madison. Okay. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Chip Matthews sitting in with me this morning. We got a big show planned for y'all, man. Monday Madness here. Hit share if you're watching online. If you're listening on the radio, call somebody. Tell them cut it on 103.9 FM WYAB. We're talking about Democrat death culture this morning, just like every other morning here on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, live here on WYAB. Alexa, play Clay Edwards Show. I just want to wake everybody's Alexa up this morning in their house. Anyway, this segment brought to you by our good friends over at Mazda of Jackson. Man, I really, really do like the car family over there. I get to speak with Chris a good bit off the record, you know, just private conversations and stuff. Really, really growing to like that guy a lot. And his wife's great as well. And, you know, when you go to Mazda Jackson, I know I talk about this a lot because it's dang true. Those folks over at Mazda Jackson, and I implore you to shop around. And when you get to buy a vehicle and you get to deal with the owner of the dealership in the process of buying that vehicle, I think that's a good thing. And it's a rarity, especially at a big franchise dealer, a new car dealer like a Mazda, that the sales managers are the owners, that the general manager is the owner of the dealership, and they're involved in every deal. Now, there's some new car owners, dealership owners that I've worked with that I didn't want them involved in the deal, but these guys are boots on ground. They know it. They're involved in it, and they're not caught flat-footed on anything when something goes wrong or whatever. And then the other thing is they give you their personal cell phone numbers when you buy a vehicle from them. And you're still working with your sales guy or girl, and that's very important because that's the product knowledge. Those are the people working you through the deal, finding everything out, discussing your wants, needs, your hot buttons, all that. Never discount the importance of a good salesperson in that process. But for the owner of these dealerships to give their phone number out to you to call directly if there's any problems, I don't know if you understand how rare that is, but they do that at Mazda Jackson. Check them out at MazdaJackson.com. If you don't feel like getting out to the dealership, check out their inventory. They've got financing rates right now starting as low as 2.9% for 72 months on almost all models, or finance for 36 months and pay 0.9% for 36 months. Now, your note's going to be higher, but if the total amount paid is the most important thing for you versus the lower payment, take that 0.09 And that's going to bring that bottom dollar, that total, way down over the length of that loan.
Oh, yeah.
And even at 2.9 for 72, which for me personally, that would probably be the one I would go for, because I prefer the lower note every month instead of kind of being on the hook for a higher note.
Mm-hmm.
You got all those options available with approved credit, of course, at Mazda of Jackson. But hey, don't worry if you credit has hit a Jackson-sized pothole like mine has in times. They got plans for you as well. So swing by, check them out today. Be sure to test drive that CX-90. Let me know what you think about it. Mazda of Jackson, located in Jackson, right there on Frontage Road at Briarwood Drive, and online, mazdaofjackson.com.
Is a CX-90 a car or a truck?
It's a midsize SUV.
Mid-size,
Crossover.
Oh, yeah.
It's big, it's nice, it's sporty, it's a luxury. I'm telling you, the inside of that vehicle, Chip, I'd put up against any German luxury vehicle out there.
My greatest Mazda was my 929 when they made the long body. When they made the long body.
My buddy Kyle Meganson had one. Mm-hmm. All right, let's jump into this. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944, 769-241-1944. So, and the Mazda Jackson phone line, we'll give it out here in a little bit. The phone's not open right now. So, Chip, I shared a video Friday night. I was out there at Cameron's garage watching the Jason Stogner band Friday night. Just wanted to get out of the house for a few minutes, have a drink, grab something to eat, go see Mo and Kelly and the whole team out there, Daryl, Dirty D, out there at Cypress Point at Cameron's garage. And like I said, just weather was nice. It wasn't hot, wasn't cold. It was just nice weather. I wanted to go sit on the patio. And I started getting tagged in this video, and people were sending me this video of a I really hesitate to call it a fight. Two fat guys pushing each other, and a woman we'll call it a fight for lack of a better word, a tussle.
Right.
There was a tussle at a ball field, and they're like, wow, what's going on in Madison? A black guy shared it. I should have paid more attention, but I ain't been to a bunch of ballparks out in Madison. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't a ballpark in Madison. Is kind of what I thought. Why would somebody lie about it?
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, like I post a lot of stuff about Jackson Ship.
Yeah, I got caught on that one too.
But I don't post lies intentionally.
Right.
So I share this thing. And I mean, I wish some of the stuff I posted was lies, but unfortunately, all of it's real. Jackson is the murder capital of America for the last 5 years.
Oh yeah.
We don't have to post fake content. I don't post all the real stuff that I get because a lot of times Facebook will kick you off for posting fight videos. So I prefer somebody else post it and me just share it. But I did break my own rule for that gas station video, but I stole it off Facebook. It was already there, so I figured it was safe. Anyway, I digress. So somebody with the Madison Police Department, a sergeant reached out, maybe it was a lieutenant, reached out to me, got my cell phone number from somebody, and said, hey, Clay, can you give me a call? I said, well, it's kind of loud where I'm at. Can I just shoot you a text? And I said, let me guess. The fight video didn't happen in Madison. He said, correct. That is not here. Our switchboard is blowing up, but just ask if you could maybe help us out there. So I just deleted it and I made a post that, hey, found out that video wasn't real. First off, that's God's country out there in Madison and Rankin County. God's put his hands on those places, and the people out there, frankly, just wouldn't do that. Let's just be honest. So I should have been my first thing out there. A lot of good, well-behaved folks. I mean, other than Canton, of course. A lot of good, well-behaved folks out there in Madison County. And that should have been the first red flag is, why would they fight at a ball field? But I'm going to fast forward a little bit here in a minute and tell you exactly why they fight at a ball field. I almost saw one this weekend. But I deleted it. And there's another local content creator, younger black dude, and basically he's just kind of jacked my style, but that's cool. I like to be imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yep.
I like that I have motivated and influenced a generation of young black content creators to do this kind of stuff that I do. So what's funny is he shares the video talking about it being in Madison and all this stuff. And I noticed that he had tagged me in this post because I shared and deleted, but it had already been shared like 500 times from my page. So it's out there. And he made a comment that says something along the lines of, they did an edit to his caption. And it said, as bad as I wanted this to be Madison, I have found out it happened in San Antonio, Texas. It wasn't Madison. And I said, man, that's the problem.
Exactly.
You wanted it. Your inferiority. There's this woke white woman that wrote a book called White Fragility. That's the damn lie. It's black fragility. And that's a real thing, black fragility. And that's what his black fragility was showing. His inferiority complex was showing. And he needed it so bad for one of the suburban areas to have some kind of fight or brawl so they could come down to Jackson's level. Where, see, I want y'all to quit fighting and killing one another in Jackson. I don't want to post stuff making Jackson look bad. And my life would be a lot easier, Chip, if I could just go back to being, Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
And I had to be Batman.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I wish there wasn't a light that shined up to the moon that was the Save Jackson logo every time something happened.
Well, it's like this. It's like people blamed white flight. Jackson, they said it's white flight killing Jackson.
It's urban flight.
No, they originally called it white.
No, but I'm saying it's called urban flight.
There was a billboard.
I won't call it white flight.
There was a billboard in North Jackson that it said it on. And it was people getting out of Jackson. And it wasn't, I say it's economic. When you look at Madison, that's an economic separation of the people. People come there with money of all races to live in Madison. Mm-hmm. Okay? And, unfortunately, not everybody can leave Jackson.
Now, and I find it funny that people think places like Brandon are all white, but by no stretch. I mean, I haven't seen the demographics. I haven't looked them up because I don't care. But Brandon is probably 50-50 or close to being 50-50 white-black. And I never think about our Hispanic brothers and sisters because they live,
right.
They move very quietly.
Right. But the reality is black and white live together now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you go to an apartment complex, it's everybody. And when you vote, the only people dividing us are the career politicians who support Democratic policies. Those are the only people dividing us. Like Benny Thompson now has his new thing, the Thompson Report, here online. Talk about division. That is division when you get on there and start reading some of his garbage he spews. But the truth of the matter is we rely on each other. We don't rely on the federal government to run Mississippi. And Mississippi needs to get off of the government aid program. I mean, it's like I say all the time. We send $1 to Washington, we get $2.48 back. We are getting somebody else's $1.48 that they need somewhere else because we shouldn't be getting it. But we're happy we get it and we spend it. And then the government, Delbert was talking about it the other day. They pulled $120 million. They pulled another program was $190 million problem. These are programs that are here to keep people from working. And that's what they're here for. We are a welfare state, and we make ourselves a welfare state because we accept the welfare and do not. And then they couldn't do a budget this year because they were waiting to see how much welfare money the federal government was sending into our state so that they could budget accordingly. Spend what you got in your wallet and don't worry about nothing else coming in. Call that free money. That's the way I see it, When you get a bonus check come out of nowhere, I can buy something else.
Let's stay on the fight topic.
Okay, fight.
Let's stay on the fight topic. I know you're hot to trot about the budget thing. Okay, that ain't got nothing to do with this. We'll get to it.
Yeah, well, we can go down to the Capitol and fight.
Well, here's the thing too. I was told we got to take a break. Actually, I was told over the weekend that they do not have to call this special session. That the governor actually has the powers to just do the budget himself.
Well, I certainly hope he does.
And I'm sure he has no problem doing that. We'll be right back with Chip Matthews on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here with Chip Matthews on a Monday fun day here in central Mississippi. A little chilly out this morning. Your boy rolled out just wearing flip-flops and shorts and a T-shirt, completely unaware that it was going to be in the high 40s, low 50s this morning. But, hey, it's rock and roll, baby. So we're here live on WYAB. Hey, don't forget, big old party this Saturday out at Martin's at Livingston. It's their first crawfish boil. They're closing down the streets out there in front of down in the whole Livingston district. Going to be a big outside festival type atmosphere. Martin's don't do anything halfway. So if you want a good time, get out there to Martin's Livingston. It's family friendly, but hey, at the end of the day, there will be adult activities as well. So it's on the folks with the kids to be aware that you're going to a crawfish bowl with alcohol. But anyway, I digress. It's going to be a big old time out there at Martin's. I'm planning on going out there and broadcasting live in some form or fashion. I don't know if it'll be a full setup or if I'll just be out there on my phone walking around doing some live stuff. One way or the other, your boy will be at Martin's Livingston for some amount of time this Saturday, partaking in the good times. I'm pulling it up real quick. I just want to tell you who's going to be playing out there. Let's see here. I got the text right here. Sorry, I thought it was on the Facebook page. I'm sure it is. I'm just not pulling it up fast enough to do this. I'll go to my text.
It's somebody good.
Yeah, Joseph sent me the information on it. Where did it go? Here we go. I got it right here. All right, Saturday from 3 to 9 p.m. Crawfish, live music, beer, and cocktails, Chip Matthews.
Yes, sir.
Look, live music by Humid Subtropic. I've never heard of them, but Chris Rybolt books great music, so I have no doubt they're great. Now, these other folks I do know and will co-sign on, the Bailey Brothers and Robbie Peoples. Good folks, man. I met Robbie and got to have a good conversation with him at McBee's a couple of weeks ago. And I was familiar with him, but I don't think I'd ever talked to him.
He used to be
really
a cool
nice
Papa Bell.
Yeah.
And he played out at Acme 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Robbie's good people. So they're going to have great entertainment. Circle the calendar. Madison County, we're coming to party with y'all at Livingston this Saturday. Martin's, big crawfish bowl out there. Can't wait. Going to be a good time. Real quick while we're plugging stuff, Sunday, don't forget, I'm going to be beating this up all week. It's the Bubba Wingfield fundraiser at Cypress Point, Cameron's Garage over in Rankin County, formerly McLean's Lodge there. It's going to be huge. Just figure 2 p.m. until, and we'll start getting some details together for that. But a big fundraiser for Bubba Wingfield's living expenses, some medical stuff as he's battling some serious cancer-like stuff, man.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Keep Bubba in your prayers. So this Saturday and Sunday, come hang out with me. Just don't punch me in the face. If you want to argue with me, we can have an argument like adults. All right, Chip.
So you want to fight?
So black fragility.
Right.
I just find it disgusting that the very people who get so mad at Clay Edwards for sharing videos of them not being able to act right in Jackson, because I don't want to do that. It's tough love. I don't want to share these videos, but I have to because I need to. The greatest disinfectant is sunlight, and I have no problem taking one down if I find out it didn't happen in Jackson, just like I did that one in Madison. But unfortunately, they all happen in Jackson. That's where we're at, and it was a good reminder not to have any sympathy or empathy for these people because they're rooting for our demise while we're fighting to save them.
Correct.
Let's take a call on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Hey, you're on. Oh, he didn't stay online. I don't know, man. And the other thing, too, and we got a whole bunch more stuff planned. I just don't want to jump too far down a rabbit hole here, so I'm just going to kind of finish off this thought. These same content creators and these same people who get so mad at me and they think that that I'm supposed to have some balance, just balance the scales of white or black stories that I report on. These same people, I never see them up under the comments of a black creator's videos of Jackson fights, because that's all they do is show videos of Jackson fights, actually from your old club, Fire, right there, that Mexican restaurant.
Oh, yeah, that parking lot rocks.
I mean, like every Monday night, there's brawls there. I mean, but you go read the comments from local blacks under these stuff, and it's all LOL, ha ha ha, look at them YNs, it's like all their little slang words for one another. And I post that same thing. Why don't you post about white people? Why don't you post this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? You only talk about black people, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I can't help who commits the crimes. I can't help who with the videos surface of, but they never get on black creators and say, why you only post black people fighting in Jackson?
Well, Clay, you are the most popular person on the radio in Jackson. And regardless of what anybody says, for years, you have catered to the white population and the black population. You have not you there is no line. So you're known on both sides of the street.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. And nobody can ever deny that.
They're very polarizing. You want to be polarizing. I'm the John Cena of radio. Let's take a call real quick. Hey, brother, you got about 30 seconds.
Hey, real quick. You guys talking about always save Jackson. I came through there the other day. I didn't stop, but I came through there on the way back to Memphis. The only thing that's ever going to save Jackson is that Ross Barnett damn busting and wipes everything out they start over. Besides that, John Horn's not going to make any difference, guys. I mean, he just, the only difference is he won't fight the state when it comes to certain projects or taking over certain things. That's the only difference between him and Chuck Wade.
100%. And we're going to get into that in an hour, too, because apparently they had a whole conversation about me on 90.1 last night with David Archie on there. Apparently somebody called in. But anyway, yeah, we're going to get to that. And this hill that David Archie's.
I got a feeling Chuck Wade, before his term's over, is going to take a deal for about 5 to 10 years. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Have a great day, guys.
You too, brother. Yeah, David Archie has picked a hill to die on to basically pull for Chokwe, I guess. And we're going to talk about that.
Wow.
And more. Well, he's masking it as Democrat pride and trying to sell that John Horn is really a Republican. And I'm just going to tell you, as a Republican, John Horn ain't a Republican.
No, he's not.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. We got a couple minutes here before we head to our top of the hour break. Let me get the cameras back online.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go. Hello.
There we go. We're on WYAB 103.9. We're streaming in stunning 4K, stunning HD at Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble at SaveJX. In Chip Matthews, proprietor extraordinaire over there at Acme Pizza and Daiquiris. Chip, they're closed on, what days are you closed?
We're now closed Monday and Tuesday because we needed some rest.
Yeah.
If we could find somebody who could actually make a pizza right, we would hire them and we'd be open every day.
Yeah.
So anybody out there wanting a job, come see me.
Yeah, Acme Pizza and Daiquiris. They are a sponsor of the show here. And they don't do lunch, so we don't talk about them as much about the lunch stuff. But they do dinner, and they are available for carry-out delivery and, of course, dine-in. And the daiquiris, Chip, those are still available for carry-out delivery?
Oh, yes. By the big cup, by the small cup, big cup, and the half gallon.
Breaking the law, the law.
Oh, yes. And you can also order those on DoorDash and all that, and they'll deliver them.
Yeah, I do think it's cool that, for people who don't know how to make their own drinks or don't want to go through the trouble of making their own daiquiris and stuff, that if you're going to have a party, a football party or whatever kind of party, you go buy, y'all do like the bag of daiquiris, the frozen bag. So you can go buy the pre-made frozen daiquiris with this got liquor and everything in. I mean, you can always add more if you wanted to when you get home. I wouldn't, but whatever, to each their own. Ladies, get you a couple bags of the different flavors of frozen daiquiris, throw them in the deep freeze, pull them out when you want to drink them. And boom, alcohol don't freeze all the way, so they're just going to be slushy, I presume.
Well, the way it works is they stay slushy because they're 30% sugar.
Yeah.
Daiquiris have 30% sugar in order to freeze. That's insane. But you're drinking it for the sweet anyway.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, online audience. When we come back, we're going to talk about, man, we got a lot of stuff. I want to tell you all about this fight, this almost fight that happened at this Little League game I went to. But it wasn't between the parents. It was the umpire. The umpire did some really foolish stuff, and I want to talk about it. And I want to say what a bad example it set for these children that were out there playing. And it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't the coaches that did it. It was the umpire trying to make it all about him. And it was really disgusting and wasted a lot of people's time and day Saturday that put forth effort to get out there to this game. And he DQ'd the team over his ego. And I saw in that moment how quick an umpire can get his ass whooped. And I supported Fred Shank's bill to make it a felony to touch an umpire. But after seeing the way this umpire acted, I don't think he didn't. He might have needed an ass whooping. I'm just going to be honest with you. Now, nobody cashed that check, but I fully expected them to. So kudos to the family. We'll tell you that story when we come back, and we're going to jump into this David Archie stuff. And again, I like David Archie, but I'm not even making an accusation, but I'm just going to say it reeks. What he's doing reeks of being paid off. I don't know if there's any upside to paying David Archie off or not, but that's how it comes across, is that he is being paid off by the Chockway campaign or somebody affiliated to try to push a narrative that John Horn is the Republican choice. Man, there ain't enough Republicans in Jackson to make a difference. I truly believe that. John Horn won by such a huge margin that if you took every white Republican that voted for him off, it wouldn't have mattered. He won by, over 10,000 votes or something like that? So I had to go back and look at the numbers. Anyway, we're going to talk about this narrative that David Archie is crafting. And then just magically on his show last night on WNPR, the former mayor of Shreveport, that just so happens to be a Free the Lander, a huge supporter of Chokwe Lumumba, just happened to be listening to Jackson, Mississippi Radio 90.1 and called in completely unplanned. Y'all tell me, I don't think 90.1, and maybe it is, I don't know. I had to go listen to my truck because somebody texted me and said they're talking about you on 90.1. So I went and sat in my truck for a second, in the passenger seat, of course, because I was drinking a cold beer, and heard this mayor call in from, my point being, I don't think 90.1 is streaming on iHeartRadio.
No.
Boom goes the dynamite. We're back. It's the Clay Edwards Show. Coming at you live on the RADIO, the most incendiary show in America, and dare I say, online. Definitely in Mississippi. We got Chip Matthews here with me, host of the Chip Matthews. I call it the Chip Matthews Experience.
Thank you very much.
Because it's a bit of an experience.
Okay.
This segment brought to you by our friends over at Huey Magoo's, the filet mignon of chicken. At Huey Magoo's, they serve up only the top 3% of premium chicken tenderloins. Huey Magoo's handcrafted tenderloins are marinated for 24 hours and cooked to perfection. And you and your family will absolutely taste the difference. Huey Magoo's is not your ordinary chicken tender restaurant. Huey Magoo's also has wraps, sandwiches, salads, and meals. You hungry yet? You know you are. Visit Huey Magoo's today, Bass Pro Drive in Pearl. That's right there across from the new QT truck stop on Highway 80, right there at Flowwood. You know where it is, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, pull in on the Highway 80 entrance. You'll get there a lot quicker than if you're pulling in from the Pearson Road and coming around the long way. And they're located as well in Flowwood, right there along the chicken strip.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's what everybody in Flowwood calls it.
It is the chicken strip.
So you know what I'm talking about right there, man. Big old nice building, too. Looks good. They got a nice little floor plan over there. So swing by, check them out today. Run into the general manager, Chris. Tell them Clay sent you so they know their advertising dollars is being well spent. We like having Huey Magoo's part of the show. So check them out today. A great customer service, too, man. If you got a young kid looking for a job, send them over to one of the locations there, Flowwood or Pearl, and see Chris, man. They are hiring always. And, man, get some great leadership training, great teamwork training, and you'll be able to take that with you throughout life everywhere you go. I think everybody should have to work in the restaurant business for a minute just to learn how to treat people.
Oh, yes.
You know, because I tell you, if you hadn't worked in the service industry, you don't understand what those folks go through. I think everybody should have to do some time in the service industry before they get out in the real world, just to understand how to communicate with people. I think everybody should have to sell cars for a little bit. I had a buddy of mine who owns a dealership here in town, not somebody that's a sponsor on this show currently, but he just reached out to me the other day, just kind of venting a little bit because he just knew that I could relate. And he said, man, Clay, the way people talk about car salesmen nowadays just blows my mind like it's still 1980. He said, yes, there used to be some shysters in this business. Yes, there's probably still some shysters in this business, but it's the extreme minority. The chance of you running into a full-fledged crook in the car business nowadays, at least if you're buying from, some kind of decent business are slim, real slim, man. I got in the business in 2011, and most everybody that I worked with were good folks. And even if the salesman was a little shady, you got the bump stop of the management.
Right.
That's only going to allow so much.
Right.
I mean, money ain't made on the front end of these car deals anymore. I mean, if you overpay for a car, it's kind of your own fault, I guess, with the access to information that everybody has. Dealerships you got a much better chance getting ripped off on Facebook Marketplace than you do at a dealership.
Oh, yeah.
I always think that's funny. I don't buy from dealers. Well, you're probably getting ripped off if you're buying from an individual.
What about the guy this past weekend that bought a car with a counterfeit check,
then went back and stole it?
then sold the car, stole it? No, he bought the car first from somebody with a fake check.
Yeah.
Then sold it twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
I'm like,
Well, he stole it he bought it from one, sold it to a guy, went back, stole it, and then sold it to somebody else.
Yeah.
I think it was the story there.
But the counterfeit check bounced. So, yeah, you did steal it. But originally it looked like you were selling your car to a legitimate person.
Yeah, man, look, you get these rednecks all the time. I'm going to get in trouble here. But the people that I hated selling cars to the most were the people like me. Middle-class white folks were the hardest people to sell cars to because Daddy always told me or Grandpa always told me, no.
Got to kick the tires.
Well, I mean, it's just, I ain't even coming inside to get the best price.
Look under the bottom and see if it's wet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Carfaxes are a ripoff too. Mm-hmm. I mean, now, a little ding is considered a wreck. Like, no, man, somebody bumped it. Anyway, but to my point about car salesmen, overwhelming majority of car salesmen are good folks out there just trying to feed their dang families. It's like, for some reason, folks are so dead set on being worried to death that a car salesman might make a few bucks on them. Look, man, the bank's only going to loan so much money on this thing. I mean, the bank ain't going to – the car dealer can't overcharge you $10,000 on a vehicle if it ain't worth that price.
Right.
What that car dealer paid for that vehicle, frankly, is none of your business.
Correct.
At the end of the day, it ain't the money they make. It ain't what they paid. It's what you're buying it for. You look at the online value. You look at the internet, and with Car Gurus and all these other places now, it's really hard for these dealerships to overcharge you for a vehicle. Again, the banks aren't going to allow it. So that's your safety net, so to say. Now, you get a high interest rate from a bank and all of that. That's not the car lot's doing. They're just the middleman between you and the bank. So I don't know, man. I get really agitated when people talk about when they use used cars. Oh, you're like a used car salesman as a negative term. Well, you mean somebody that works 12, 13, 14 hours a day, that gets up, busts their butt, deals with the general public to feed their family? Oh, yeah. I'm a used car salesman. I'll gladly take that blue-collar title.
Well, any work, some people just think is bad.
Yeah.
Being a car salesman you're on the lot there, and in the summer it's
hard work, man.
It really is.
And you're dealing with people generally that are very unappreciative of it. Everything's confrontational for no reason.
Right.
Like people pull up to the car lot and you'll talk to them because it's your job to talk to them. And I'm just looking. All right, well, what are you looking for? Let me hit. We got 500 cars out here. Let's expedite your looking because I'm stuck with you now.
Right.
Because I talked to you. If I walk away from you and I walk back inside, the manager's going to be like, why the hell aren't you talking to that customer?
Right.
Well, they were just looking. Well, that's what everybody comes to the car lot to. Of course, people don't understand that.
Right.
But then that same customer, if you said, okay, just look, or if you, God forbid, you didn't talk to them, they would come in there on the showroom.
So I've been walking around out here and nobody came to
talk to me. I
don't
guess anybody here wants to sell a car today. And then the dealership acts like everybody's hair's on fire, freaking out that a customer didn't get talked to. So I just say all that to say, and going back to the restaurant thing. If you go out there buying a car, and be respectful to that. You're gonna get way more bees. You're gonna get way more bees with honey than you are poop.
Oh yeah.
You go out there and you try to beat somebody up verbally because some car dealer took advantage of your pawpaw 40 years ago, you're trying to get some kind of retribution for that. You're not going to get the deal you're hoping you are. I gave way more good deals and fought for people to get them good deals, fought management to get you more money for your trade, fought the bank to get you a better interest rate if you were nice to me.
Because you're going to get the repeat sale.
Yeah.
You're going to get, cars don't last.
Yeah, if you come in there rude to me, you're going to get the minimal effort from me to get you the best deal possible.
Right.
And just at the end of the day, and that's just human nature, right?
Right.
But if you come in there trying to fight somebody over a deal, you're probably not going to get the deal you want. But if you come in there and you sell me, like car salesmen like to be sold. I love going somewhere and getting a good salesman that knows their stuff. It's motivating for me. It's like, oh man, I forgot what it's like to actually run across somebody with really good product knowledge, and just like, hey, look, man, we're going to take care of the deal. We're going to take care of you. Let's make sure you love this vehicle. Let's go through the steps, because you buy a vehicle and you don't love it, then that car salesman stuck me with this truck that I don't like. Well, I mean, you kind of rush the process. It's called a road to the sales, like 12 steps. You got to love the vehicle. If you don't love the vehicle, none of the rest of it matters.
And it also matters if you get what money is in your pocket. You're only going to get what you can afford.
Yeah. Well,
unless you have a very good salesman.
You have a very good finance manager. It's amazing what these banks will approve as far as the notes go. Now they ain't going to give you but so much money. But they'll let you extend yourself on the monthly notes. I promise.
Okay.
I promise. But anyway, man, I just say, man, treat them salesmen good, man. Like being a used car salesman or a new car salesman, either one. Just being a car salesman, it's a hard, thankless job. And people don't need. My guys that are out there doing it. I guess I fight for these people,
right?
Because I did it for 12 years. At the end, I was at my wit's end. I'm itching to get back in sales a little bit nowadays, but needed a little break from it. But man, just everything don't have to be so combative. It's like, man, hold on, you came to us, dog. You came to us.
Bald.
You came to us, man. Just
I can get this down the road for $20,000 less.
Well, you better buy it.
Hit it
before I do. You better buy it before I do. I don't know. I'm just saying, man. But I want to close on this.
Okay.
White people, I'm talking to y'all. I don't know what it is. And I've had this conversation here before. I don't know what it is. White people, they love to lie about overpaying for their house. This is $1 million home.
Right.
But I'm supposed to believe that. But you were such a shrewd negotiator on that house.
Right.
But somehow or another, I'm supposed to believe that you paid $3,000 back of a book or whatever, back of cost. Everybody loves to pretend they get it back of cost. I got all the whole back and everything. That you somehow became the world's greatest negotiator when you went to go buy your car. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. Every white person I know loves to lie about overpaying for their house and basically stealing the car from a dealership.
Well, I got a question for you, and it ties into the Elon Musk and the tariffs and all that. If a car dealership, if somebody like Ford is making $18 billion a year,
mm-hmm. Whatever,
can't they eat 10% of a tariff?
Well, I guess,
and the car market would be more competitive. I mean, there's some profit in there that they could cut back, right? I mean, I'm talking about the manufacturer, not particularly the dealer, because the dealer's stuck with what the manufacturer sells it to him for.
Sure, but the manufacturer also makes a lot of money on parts.
Right.
Like it's in parts and, the service. Like the dealerships, like new car dealerships, their money's made in the service department and the parts department.
Right.
The front of house stuff is not necessarily the heartbeat of the dealership.
Right.
And then like the finance side, the warranties, warranties something you get free, the service contracts,
right,
and gap insurance and all that stuff. That's not forever money.
Right.
The only forever money, like real money, the dealership can absolutely deposit and not have to worry about having to pay back is the profit made on the vehicle, which ain't much,
right,
and the trade, and then of course the dealers, the service department, your parts.
But I'm going above that. The where they get their cars from,
Sure,
they're making good money, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know what the true cost of let's just say an F-150, for example.
Right.
I don't know what the true cost rolling off the line is for Ford.
Right.
I mean, I know the cost, or I used to know the cost on all of them, minus dealer holdback and everything,
right.
like what the dealer actually pays.
Right.
And the markup, like on average, and this number may have changed, but last time I was in the new car business, on average, a new car, especially like a truck,
right,
markup was around $3,000 from MSRP, from cost to
right.
MSRP was around $3,000 that you had some wiggle room on.
And is there a percentage? Is that if you're $3,000, is that like if it's a $20,000 car to the dealership, you make $3,000? If it's a $40,000 car on the lot, you make $3,000.
No,
or is it a percentage of it?
The cheaper the car,
yeah,
like a Ford Fiesta, for example. Yeah. There ain't much markup.
Okay,
and those things. I mean, you're hoping to make some money on the back end, selling
right.
warranty or selling service contracts,
okay.
stuff of that nature, and you get somebody into the ecosystem of being a Ford customer. And
right.
I'm just picking Ford here as my example.
Right.
You hope to get them back into the dealership for oil changes and service and all of that stuff, because that's where the money long term for these big dealerships is made, is the service department. No, the sales is the front facing. That's the front door of the dealership.
Okay.
That's what everybody sees. That's what everybody associates with. That's their experience. So I don't know. I did not mean to get into this whole conversation, but that was weighing on me a little bit this morning. It's just be nice in a car salesman. Don't get me wrong. If somebody's rude to you, give it back to them. I mean, like I said, I got fired a couple years ago for being rude to a customer. Granted, they were rude first, but I should have been the bigger man. So, but with that said, be nice to folks, man. You never know what somebody's going through. It's like what I say about cops on when people get pulled over, and the cop may be having a bad day, and
right.
then you make it worse by being a smartass. Like, you just don't know what somebody's going through.
Well, you don't know if that cop got the last stop that cop made, he got shot at.
Yeah.
Then he
maybe he saw a dead kid in an accident, or a dead person, period, in a car wreck.
And then within the hour, if your shift's not over, you're back out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all for being tough as nails and compartmentalizing. If you're going through some bad stuff at home, leave that at home and come to work. Every now and then, you may need to take a day off and just detox, woosah for a minute, instead of bringing the negativity to work. But over the last dozen or so years, man, work was my retreat. Whether I was in bad relationships, a bad marriage, whatever, like work was my retreat. And that's when I realized I needed to make a lot of personal changes.
Well, when I was in business with you, my retreat was to go to the casino and work.
Yeah.
I didn't have to answer the phone, didn't have to listen to anything,
Yep.
No crazy ideas.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to jump into this story about ball field drama out in Clinton over the weekend. I just want to hopefully be a little learning lesson for some adults out there that are listening this morning. And I'm sure we'll get into the Jackson stuff as well. We'll be right back with Chip Matthews on the Clay Edwards Show. Vehicle. That's A1 Gear and Auto. Check them out today. Florence, Mississippi, Highway 49 South. Chip Matthews.
Don't look at your crypto account.
But I do want to come back to that. But before that, I want to tell a story real quick.
Okay.
I was out at a ball tournament this weekend in Clinton. And I was a guest. Well, I guess I was a guest. My girlfriend's son plays tournament ball.
Okay.
I was out there with them. And we go to Clinton, and, won a game, lost a game, start. We go back to the house. Next game about 4:30. We got to come all the way back to Clinton from Brandon. Now, This is just my story.
Right.
This isn't, I don't want to speak for anybody else. Just through the lens of Clay Edwards here. I'm not speaking on behalf of the team or anything like that. I'm not going to mention any names. This is just me telling a story about what happened.
Okay.
Man, so the third game, the 4:30 game, I think it was, we're playing. And, man, it just started off, man. It just felt real tense. Felt real like just reading the reading the room. Sometimes you're on the bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's
jump night.
It's the tension is thick. And it wasn't the teams either. It was like the umpire, man. It just didn't feel right. And I'm sitting right behind home plate. And I'm watching, so the game gets started, and I told Morgan, I said, man, it just feels real chaotic. Something ain't right.
Right.
and the wind's blowing really bad. It's a dirt infield, 100% dirt infield, so everybody's getting hit with dust. I think everybody's just a little agitated and, just at their wits' end. The storms are coming. It felt like, the nights in the club business shit when there's a full moon and just people seem to fight more.
Oh, yeah.
That was the energy. It just was not a good energy.
Right.
And that's when I think the adults are supposed to kind of bring the temperature in the room down.
Okay.
And I don't feel like that's what happened. Our coaches were talking about something, and the home plate ump throws one of our guys out, and he's not even on the field coach. He's the guy that sits in the back, keeps us up with stats and all.
Right.
The umpire thought he was questioning his authority.
Yes.
And he said, say another word, and he was talking to the on-field coach. He gets thrown out. I'm like, well, he wasn't even talking to you. That's a bit unnecessary. And his calls, when he would call a strike or, God forbid, a kid struck out, I mean, just really animated to the point of belittling the kid.
Right.
Like, it was like, hey, come on, dude, these are 12-year-olds. These are Little League baseball. It ain't that serious. And I know these guys are really underpaid. It's more of damn near a volunteer type work. So I want to be careful. I'm not poo-pooing on all umpires here, but this is way over the top. Okay. And I've been to, I think, 3 tournaments now, and of course grew up at the ball fields and my dad playing and my sister playing and all that. Anyway, I just ain't been in a while. Anyhow, fast forward a little bit. There's some questionable calls if he was calling balls and strikes the same for both teams.
Okay.
I'm not getting into that, whether it was or wasn't.
Okay.
One of the coaches questioned it. And he was like, you question my calls again? Blah, blah, blah. And the coach said one more thing. He didn't throw the coach out. He DQ'd the team. Game over. DQ'd the team without a warning, without anything, over somebody having the audacity to question balls and strikes. And I just thought, man, what a terrible example
to the kids
you're setting for these kids. These kids have worked their butts off to get out here to play. This team has struggled this year. These kids have kept it up. They've won their first game of the year early in the day. Second game, it was a little bit bigger of a gap, but it wasn't from a lack of effort. They just left the bases stranded, left the loaded bases stranded, tie and run on. Didn't work out. I think it was 7-2, but the score wasn't reflective of how close of a game it was. Then this game, they were down 2-1. I think we were at bat.
Right.
The best team effort that we've seen all season, in my opinion, of the games I've been to. And you take that and you take that away from those kids. You take the money that the parents had to pay, the time and the effort that it takes to go to these tournaments.
Right.
Like I said, first game was at 8:30 this Saturday morning. Second game was right after that. So by noon we're done.
Right.
And we had a big downtime to 4:30 before we, come back to the field. So we go back to Brandon. Well,
right.
From Clinton to Brandon, ain't no skip down the road.
Right.
It's a little haul. But that's just part of it. We go back, and then to have that taken from them kids, a close game. They were at bat. They had this tying runner on. I think the winning run was at bat. If you score and all that. Anyway, I just thought it was real chicken crap of that umpire.
It is
to do that to those kids. And whoever organized that tournament, I hope that y'all handle that. Somebody said the umpire got fired. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't like anybody getting fired either. I'm not a fan of that, and unless not for one singular incident. But if there's a history of this type stuff, yeah, sure. I don't know, man. It just left a real sour taste in my mouth to see adults act like that. And even the DQ, as bad as that was, but what I thought was the over animation, almost like rubbing it in the kids' faces when they struck out.
Right.
But I say all that to say I could see why somebody would want to whoop this guy's butt. I mean, like, if that had been my kid, yes. I had to really bite my tongue. I was like, "You're not your monkeys, not your circus."
What would Roy do?
I don't know, man. I haven't called and talked to him about it, honestly, but I got it on. I just happened to be filming the moment he said game over.
But to me,
I was going to show him.
It's as bad as politics. It's as bad as everybody was there and had a financial investment into the game. He was there to do a job and get paid to do the job of calling the game. If he don't like his job, then don't do it.
I got a confirmation here that he was fired. Says the umpire, Roger says the umpire was fired after that game too. Grand Slam addressed that umpire immediately and will never umpire for Grand Slam again. Well, kudos to Grand Slam for stepping up and doing that. It just and I want to be real careful not to cast stones here and blame the tournament and all that, but I just thought that was a really, really bad example for the kids.
Well, let me ask you this: shouldn't and it may be the wrong thing.
I don't
to say,
get my way, so you're out of here.
It seems like an administrative official, somebody was bigger than that guy, should have set up and said, "No, you're not calling the game."
Yeah, well,
I mean, I'm not going to get into that.
There should be a mechanism in place, but I guess the umpire technically does have the authority to call the game.
But I would say you only did that in case you had like a brawl.
There should be the ability to protest that in the moment,
right?
And go back and look. I don't know. I'm new to this. Being a ball parent, so to say. Kylie didn't play ball. She did cheer and pageants. And let me just tell you, the pageant world and the cheer world is very, very high anxiety driven. We'll say very competitive, just like that. Because there's nothing worse than some old man being a judge at these pageants and judging your 12-year-old daughter's looks and stuff. I think it's very disturbing, in my opinion. I don't think men should be pageant judges at all.
Agreed.
I just think, I don't know, I feel the same way about them as I do, and I'm sure I'm going to offend somebody here, but I feel the same way about them as I do grown men that want to go teach elementary school.
Exactly.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and let's talk some Jackson mayoral drama.
Okay.
We always do that well here. We made it the whole show without doing that.
Your buddy, David Archie.
David Archie. I want to talk about that. I like David. I think David's good for the system.
Okay.
He's kind of the Chip Matthews of Hinds County politics.
I agree with that.
I just disagree with him on this.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our good friends over at, how about our friends at Juniker Fine Jewelry there?
Oh, yeah.
Guys, they got an amazing selection of pre-owned Rolex watches that I've gone by and looked at a couple times, and I've been getting interested in watches. It's official. You're officially old when you take an interest in timepieces. I am very interested in the Roman Empire, the fall of the Roman Empire, World War II, and Rolexes. I'm officially almost 50 years old. Anyway, go swing by. If you're looking for a pre-owned Rolex, where you don't have to worry about is it real or not, swing by Juniker and check out their selection. A good watch isn't cheap, and a cheap watch isn't good. And you can confirm that with a Rolex from Juniker. But, hey, one of the other things, just real quick, that I love, and it's something I'm pushing a lot here, is their Juniker Jewelry Diamond Stud Program. I just think this is such a great investment here, and it's just a way to really show your significant other or children how much you love them. Look, buying diamond studs from Juniker is more than just a purchase. It's an investment. When you're ready to upgrade, they credit you 100% of your original purchase price towards a larger pair. And this is a lifetime trade-up program that grows with you. So, for example, if you go buy a $500 pair of stud earrings today, next year you can upgrade to a $1,000 pair and only come out of pocket $500 more because you're going to trade in that current pair and you're going to double the size or whatever the market value is at that point. I guess maybe it ain't always going to be double the size depending on how much diamonds run, but neither here nor there. You're going to upgrade to $1,000 worth of diamond studs and only come out of pocket $500. We spent a lot of time talking about cars earlier. Wouldn't it be great if you could do that in the car business? You can't because of wear and tear. There's really no wear and tear on diamond studs, I hope. But anyway, I think that's a great program. And I just use $500 and $1,000 as my example there, but it works for more expensive. It's more expensive ones as well. You can go from $10,000 to $20,000. Whatever your budget is, everybody's is different. Juniker is going to be the place to do it. Go see them out there on Highland Colony Parkway in Madison. Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Man, got a lot of getting a bunch of stuff on this umpire stuff. I figured that would be a hot topic.
Oh, yeah.
We may punt that down the road a little bit and bring that up again and maybe get somebody on here to talk about some of that Little League stuff. I hear about it all the time, whether it's Little League baseball, girls softball, whatever. So I do appreciate some folks with the tournament have reached out to me and confirmed that the umpire did in fact get fired, and they are protesting to take it a step further than that. So kudos to Grand Slam for buttoning that up and handling business there. That's the way you handle business. David Archie was hosting his show on WMPR 90.1 last night, and apparently my name got brought up. I missed it by the time I tuned in, or maybe I was listening, then I tuned out and missed it. Well, either way, apparently they were saying that the Republicans, Clay Edwards' show is getting the Republicans to vote for Horn.
Right.
And frankly, that's just not true.
No, not this show.
Not this show. I mean, I did meet John Horn yesterday for the first time there at that Salvation Army benefit or fundraiser. But I have not told anybody. I just said, y'all need to figure out somebody in the Democrat primary to vote for, not named Chockway, and everybody needs to go vote. And I mean, look, everybody's been saying it. I find it funny that the Democrats don't like it when the Republicans cross over to dictate their primaries.
Right.
But they love doing that on when it's the other way around, and they encourage doing that.
And we know there's a group of whites that are pushing John Horn, but just because they're white doesn't mean they're Republicans.
Absolutely. Look, if it's a white person in Jackson, majorityly speaking, they're not Republican.
Right.
They're white liberals. Now, there are some white conservatives in Jackson, don't get me wrong. But they make up such a minute number.
Correct.
That they ain't tipping the scales.
Don't call them Republicans.
They ain't tipping the scales.
Delbert lives in Jackson.
Well, I'm not even talking about I'm talking about like real white Republicans.
Yes.
Like there's not enough of them
right
to tip the scales in a major race.
I agree.
Yes, could it make a difference? I guess if it's close enough, but generally speaking, for the sake of this conversation, no.
Right.
But I just they're trying to push this agenda that white Republicans or Republicans tipped the scales and pushed Horn across the finish line. That just frankly isn't true. The numbers don't dictate that. Kingfish did a great breakdown. Chockway lost every ward.
Right.
Every ward.
And Chockway barely made it into the – I mean –
he only won one precinct.
300 or 400 votes to the guy in third, and there would be no Chockway in this one.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, had David Archie not ran,
yeah,
there would be no runoff.
And he didn't get enough votes to help Chockway over the finish line there.
He got just enough to prevent Horn from getting 50%.
Yep.
You know, Chip, I think the way we do these runoffs, and I'm just from the outside looking in here, they need to really take a look at. There needs to be a floor.
Yeah.
There needs to be a ceiling to the floor. You need to get at least 20%, 25%. Being able, you got one guy with 48.5%.
Right.
And the second place is at 16%, and they're going to a runoff.
Right.
That doesn't make the math don't math for me. The 16%er does not deserve.
Well, here's the reality. So you had 14 or 15 people sign up. It cost them $10 to sign up.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas an independent has to go out and get X amount of people to support him before he can be on the ballot.
Yeah.
So maybe the process for the Democratic Party should be, in order to qualify, you need to go get some names on a signature to where we know you have some support.
Yeah.
Other than give your $10 and get on the ballot, and
that's what you're saying,
and dilute the situation. But that's what that is.
Yep.
And
you know, this ain't like a Michael Cassidy, Michael Guest thing here, where Cassidy kind of caught Guest flat-footed.
Right.
Chockway got his ass whooped.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
The people have spoken. And regardless of who ends up being the mayor of Jackson, whether it's John Horn or Kim Wade or whomever else, they have a mandate from the city. The mandate isn't necessarily for one person. The mandate is against Chockway.
Well, just remember, all those votes under John Horn, the 51.5% or whatever it is.
50.5.
That
No,
right,
51.5, yes. Sorry.
all of that will beat John Horn. And in the future, what you're looking at is everybody that came out and voted the first time, you're going to lose 10 to 20% in each election. All like this one will go down after the primary. People will get disinterested, and then you'll be at the general election where Kim Wade will be on it. But the actual turnout there will be less than what it was before.
Oh, less people will turn out for the general than turned out for the
right
runoff, in my opinion.
And then there will be another runoff if that one's close, because there's 4 candidates on that ballot.
That's right.
A Republican, a Democrat, and 2 independents or 3 independents.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So
there'll be
somebody's got to get, unless somebody gets 50 plus 1.
Right. So, I mean, you set up for the long vote cycle here, regardless of any way you look at it. And,
I heard Archie saying that John Horn's going to come in and he's only going to pander. He's going to sell. That's the fear. They're going to sell off. They're going to bend the knee. They're going to sell all these things to the city, to the state. They're basically just talking about the airport here. Let's just be honest. They're talking about the airport.
Right.
They're going to sell the airport. And he's only got the only parts of Jackson that are going to get any attention is northeast. He said the white areas without saying the white areas: Belhaven, Fondren, northeast Jackson.
That's always a good argument.
Well, if that's the case, how the hell do you explain the condition that the rest of Jackson's in now? And Chokwe's been mayor 8 years. What the hell has he done for those areas now?
And the airport has not had any great work done on it, other than the federal government sends money to fix the runways. But
the escalators still don't work. The bathroom doors are knocked off the hinges in the women's restroom. There's nothing to do in there. All the shops have closed for the most part. It's a disaster.
And they only go there because it belongs to Jackson, but it's in Rankin County.
100%.
Period.
And look, the Jackson doesn't do their part to keep the grass cut on their part of the parkway.
No.
I mean, they don't take care of stuff. The state needs to take the airport.
And if they had leadership before, let's put it this way, before all of the liquor laws were changed, all of that all the way around there could have been developed.
Oh, it's amazing.
It would have been restaurants and bars all the way around the airport and hotels, because it was legal to drink there.
Yeah. Yeah, you could get a drink at the airport in Rankin County.
So anywhere on that Jackson property, you could have had a drink.
Yep. All right, we got to take our last break. Swing by the merch shop today, buyfafo.com. Use the promo code FREETHELAND, all one word, caps, and get $10 off every item you purchase. No limitations. You buy 100 shirts, you're getting $10 off each shirt. There's no max either.
That's $1,000 saving.
That's $1,000 in savings. We'll be right back. Land the plane for the day. Speaking of planes. Welcome back in as we land the plane for the day here. We got about a minute left. Chip Matthews show coming up next, followed by Jameson Haygood from 10 to noon, then followed from noon to 1 by Sean and Lindsay. And Kim Wade will be here 4 to 6 to round out our live and local entertainment for the day on WYAB. Be sure to get out, support all these great sponsors. A lot of good blue plates at Martin's, Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, McBee's, and others. We've got some pizza joints on this show, too. Your Pie, as well as Johnny's Pizza. Have lunch, and, of course, Acme Pizza and Daiquiri for dinner Wednesday through Sunday. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.